Welcome to the Dating Unsettled show where we dare to date differently. I'm your host, JoyOfodu, and we're doing something very special today. We are recapping and giving commentary on Netflix's The Ultimatum, Marry or Move On. Ooh, I'm too ready to do this. Before we dive right in, because we don't waste time on the podcast, I want to acknowledge the joint SAG-AFTRA and WGA strikes. As a SAG-eligible actress, I'm observing the strike guidelines. Reality TV, thankfully, is not struck work. So we're going to talk about this, but SAG-AFTRA strong, WGA strong. I stand with SAG-AFTRA and the WGA. We're working for a fair deal from studios, the AMPTP, including Netflix. So really, really grateful and excited to be consuming and producing entertainment at this time. And The Ultimatum is one that I'm just so hyped to talk about with my friend who's joining me as a special guest host and commentator who shall here and henceforth thereafter be known as Brittany. Hey, Brittany.
Hi.
Hey, girl.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Okay, let's get into this mess. For those who don't know, The Ultimatum, Marry or Move On is a show about five relationships who are on the brink of marriage, according to Netflix.com. They will break up, feel the pressure, experiment, and basically one partner in each of these relationships is ready to settle down and pop the question. The other partner, however, is dragging their feet. So it's like 8 weeks. They go through a trial marriage with another person from a different pair. Then they go back and spend weeks with the original person that they came with. So again, one person's ready for marriage, one person is absolutely not. And then at the end, they decide if they want to marry or move on. It's hosted by Nick and Vanessa Lachey,
Oh my
who
God,
are
abolish
hilarious. What'd you say?
I said abolish them.
You said
I'm
up.
so disappointed as soon as they walked on the screen.
Okay, I'm the exact opposite. Love them.
No, no,
Love
no.
them for this. I love love them for the chaos. Love them for the mess. Every comment Nick makes during the show, like
No, oh my God. I never want to hear anything else about their relationship. I do not care.
I love it. And then
There's
Vanessa
actually nothing that I care less about than the commentary that they insert about their relationship.
and Vanessa will just start crying every single anecdote.
No.
I'm here. Oh, I'm here for it. I'm here for the fact that who was looking for Vanessa and Nick Lachey as like joint hosts, and then boom, here they are. There's
No.
something about the audacity of both of them that I treasure. Okay, so we are going to go couple by couple for those who are listening or watching on the Dating Unsettled YouTube channel. We have episodes 1 through 8 that are currently publicly released, and we are waiting for the other episodes. So if you're not fully caught up with everything that Netflix has out as of Friday, August 21st, Friday, August 25th, don't listen to this, okay? Go back, finish everything, and come with us because this is going to be a spoiler full environment of everything that we publicly know. Then we might get into some rumors at the end. All right, let's get started with Kat and Alex. Kat, 28, travel nurse. Alex, 32, software sales. Between Kat and Alex, the one who issued the ultimatum is Kat, the 28-year-old. And as she's looking at Alex, she's like, we have been together for several years and we travel a lot, but he's always kind of using this excuse of like not necessarily being ready. I'm practical. I don't know. Like Alex is super ambivalent. It also seems like Alex got money. Are you
Yeah,
getting that vibe?
I mean, he just seems like honestly, I find this couple boring, but like he seems like every other guy that's kind of like coasting and okay with
Yeah.
it. You know, like he's stable, he's, you know, doing well in his career. He has a good woman by his side. He's having fun. He's living life. It's kind of like why mess it up? You know, like why add a wrench?
Right. In this plan. And I agree with you. There is a bit of stale bread nature to this couple. Like you see them, and if you ran into them at a happy hour, you're like, I need to exit this conversation. Like that's the first thing you're thinking when you meet. Like if I was to meet both of them, would be like I'd be searching around the room looking for something else to do. Kat is a very, you know what? Kat strikes me as somebody who like, and her trial partner during the marriage, as Antonio calls her out for this, like
Mhm.
has no opinion or whatever. Even Alex says that, like, oh, you're not, very like strong or whatnot. To me, she just seems like an excellent listener. I'm not saying
Mhm.
that there's too much spice, underneath that hood, but Kat is just like a super listener. Like I have a friend like Kat who, if you misjudged her, you'd be like, oh, there's nothing going on. When in
I
reality, she's just like a sweetheart.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I don't think everybody needs to have like a big, massive personality. And I think they actually work really well together. And you see that kind of like later on in the episodes when they're kind of confronting some of the issues that were revealed in their trial marriage. I don't know if you want to get into it now, but
Yes.
to me, they're just like they're a normal couple. Like they're dealing with like a normal relationship inflection point. And like that's pretty much it. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing.
They're they're literally wonder bread to you. Okay.
Yeah.
Opinions on Alex for me is I feel that he is a manipulator. He is scary. He's
Mm.
horrifying. This is to me the worst kind of person because and I love
Wow.
how even Roxanne, I guess at least in a relationship, because they're the type of person, especially men, who like do not think that they can do wrong. Like it was
Mm.
very clear when Alex later got paired with Roxanne. Roxanne
Mhm.
goes, "I don't." She said dead ass like, "I do not respect you as a friend, partner, person." Like,
Yeah.
I was like, "Whoa!" But it's true because you see, he's with his parents. He's nice. He's with Kat. He's ambivalent. Maybe a man of few words. The second he's given the full mic and platform, he says really mean, deep cutting things. And then he gaslights and he's sarcastic and he's like, oh, yeah, really? Oh, no, I bet you are. You're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Where did that come from? So to me, that's horrifying. What about you?
I would say like in the instance like later in the show when he's having the conversation with Antonio and kind of like confronting Roxanne about what he said, I actually have a lot of respect for him because he did deliver a message that needed to be delivered. And I think that
Hmm.
he said it in a way that made sense
What?
for both parties to understand like the gravity of what was happening. And I actually really loved how Kat was like, hey, I know that emotions are high right now, but I have some information to tell you. And I'm also kind of coming into this as like a third party and letting you know that in an even kill logical way, like this is a baseline set of facts that like we both are
Yes.
sharing with you. And so I could appreciate his tone and delivery. Like I think that I would be curious to see how.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that it got a little bit wonky, like in some of the dynamic with Kat when she's like, "Hey, like I would love some words of affirmation," and he's kind of like, "That's not really my vibe," but at the same time, I'm kind of like,
Oh,
you
he
know,
went beyond that. This man tried to argue with her about the validity of words of affirmation in general. I think that's my issue with him is like he goes from, that's not for me or I'm not comfortable doing that, which is a totally human thing to say, to trying to invalidate the other person's desire for the thing. You see what
agreed.
I'm
No,
saying? Yeah.
I definitely agree on that. I definitely agree on that point.
Like don't mess up my reality now.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That'll
No, no, no. Definitely,
that'll
definitely
mess with
agree.
Ooh, okay. And then when it comes to Kat and Alex, I think I agree with you on honesty. So stepping back, looking at both of them as a couple, these two will tell you what they believe when prompted. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that they're both like super forthcoming with it, but they'll tell you what they think when prompted. I'll give them both that. Moving on to the next couple, who I
Mm,
know you love, who I know you love. Anybody who watches the show knows what that is about before I even say the names. This is Lisa and Brian. Lisa, 31 at the time of the show, vice president of clinical services, and Brian, 28 at the time of the show, financial analyst. So they're from North Carolina. After 6 months of casual hookups, Lisa and Brian chose to enter a relationship. They committed after like a year and a half. So basically, they've been together about 2 years. And it was really interesting that there's a 10-year-old daughter that Lisa has that honestly isn't mentioned at all on the
mm,
show. It only comes up in the actual bio. However, between Lisa and Brian, what it is that Lisa issues the ultimatum. This is a black couple, so I saw them in the previews and I was like, oh yay, a
yeah,
black couple, black love. I can't wait to watch this. And
yeah.
boy, was I wrong.
Ooh, okay. I want to jump in and I just want to say like I do want to handle Lisa's story with care, like especially
Please.
with her being a black woman and like this being a black couple. And I can bet that like no one watches themselves on TV in that way and is like proud of how they reacted and like you
Can't
know,
be.
I think that like, in a perfect scenario or in a perfect world, like things would have been done differently. So like I don't want to go too deep on that. But what I will say is like, listen, the ancestors, a praying grandmother, good karma, like God and all the things kind of like came to support her with this pregnancy, because you cannot tell me that Brian and Raya were not going to like end up together. Like
Oh, oh,
we
sure.
can get to it later, but like, listen, it was good for them to get out. I will say it was the best. Like Lisa got what she wanted, and
Let
I'm rooting for them.
look, let me speak on this. So Lisa expresses to Brian, this is before we find out about Lisa's, on show pregnancy, which freaking, mind blown, big bomb. Um, Lisa presents as someone who is like 30s, black woman, got it together. Sanaa Lathan Gabrielle Union in a movie. I want you to marry me. Byron, why won't you commit to me? By Ryan. Like that is the exact thing she gives off. And so immediately you're like, I've seen this character. I know this character. We're not
Yeah,
judging them as real, actual human beings when we're talking about the characters we see on the show.
right.
You're like, okay, this black woman is like ready to go. Why are they with this bum? Brian, on the other hand, though, he's not a bum. He seems like, he's a financial analyst. He's making his way through life. At 28, he could be at the point where he's ready to like deepen things, but he's just not. And you
I,
start to wonder, even in the first couple episodes, is Brian into Lisa? I like there's being sexually attracted to somebody, there's being a little bit compatible, there's chilling as homies, and then there's I want this person to be the mother of my children. And
mhm.
Brian does not give that off towards Lisa at all. For me as individuals, I'm like, okay, Lisa seems like initially, I'm like, Lisa has her stuff together. Lisa has been pressing this man for an answer. Uh, Lisa, has a dream and a vision and goals. I see Brian and I'm like, Brian too probably has a dream and a vision and goals. He doesn't like being pressed for it. He's a bit more private and slow to figure things out. He's a bit more go with the flow. But
Mhm.
then after we see them fight, so during this altercation, which literally can only be described as an altercation, Lisa does not like the whole couple swap thing. She pushes Homeboy in the face. She intimidates him and his partner physically. She runs out and screams in the street. This is that if you ever catch me looking like this behind a man, please sedate me. Christina Yang, sedate me. Take me down. I don't, this is it's an ugly moment. I don't care how much empathy you have. It's an ugly moment. It's a dark moment. Brian, too, looks and feels insidious because you have a partner who's like completely acting out. And instead of consoling them or removing yourself from the situation, like an angry chihuahua, Brian barks back. And it's this kind of mutually abusive, mutually toxic viewpoint. Like whatever we might know or find out about them off of the show, this is just a horrible, like ugly thing to witness that you don't want to see between black couples on TV. Like you think you
Right.
want to see it for the mess, but you really don't. It doesn't feel good. So watching this, honestly, I want to know what you think. I got the view and I got the opinion. Brian's actually a little bit of a manipulator. Just there's some sly things he said, there's a way that he acted, there's an apathy that he started to display. There's a smoothness even when talking to Raya that I was like, something about this guy makes my skin
Mhm.
crawl. Thoughts?
I Okay, I see the situation similar in some aspects, but different in others. Like, I do think that Lisa's just ready for this box to be checked in her life and
Right.
just kind of like ready to move on to the next thing and just ready to enter into the stability that comes with marriage. And like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that everything that you said is correct. Like, Brian just seems to be the partner in the relationship that is like along for the ride, except he is the man, and they are just bumping up against what appears to be that inflection point of like her being so ready to be at the next level and him just being like, I just need a little bit more time to also get to that place. And I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I think that when you sign up for that, it's kind of like you got to play that all the way out. And if you
Yeah.
choose to do that on TV, that's your business. But like, I think there's a lot of couples that deal with this like off camera. So again, like, Yeah, yeah, I think that there's a lot going on here. I don't think that Brian is a manipulator, but what I will say is like Brian's unsureness was
Mm,
going to cause him and Raya to build a very significant relationship. And again, like
mm,
I just think that like Brian having a situation where he was with somebody that he was attracted to and
mm.
had sexual chemistry with, and maybe was at a place in life that gave him a little bit more runway in that front, was not going to be positive for the
No,
outcome that Lisa wanted. And so, like,
no,
and them getting an out was like the answer, like a praying ancestor, a praying grandmother, like swooped in, and was like, get my baby out that situation. And like, I'm not mad at it. Like, I think that to me, it was kind of best for them to
to
not
get out.
continue on the show. Yeah.
What's crazy is you see, because I agree with you, like it was never going to be positive for Lisa. She did say, I want to leave. My thing is, if you can take my man, take him. Right? If
Hmm.
my man can be picked up, and I don't, a lot of people don't agree with
Yeah.
this, but if you can tempt him out of, interest him out of, flirt him out of, hooters him out of, if you can take him, you better
Yeah.
take him, because he's not mine to begin with. So
Yeah.
I've always felt, when it comes to love and when it comes to partnership, a bit more, it's only proprietary if what we have is locked down. If another girl who's a couple years my junior, which, ooh, that had to hurt,
Yeah.
can just pop up and entice you into wanting to move in with her, sleep with her, whatever the case may be, take him, please, God. So like for me, I'm like, Lisa, baby, that's not your man to begin with. Like not if he can be taken like that. You shouldn't. I want for Black women especially to not want or desire men who do not want to commit to them, and
Mm,
men who can be easily turned the other cheek or turned astray. My second thing is, and why I call Brian manipulative, she tried to leave before they even got to the cocktail party. She was
yeah.
crying in bed. She grabbed a phone and she was ready to leave. And I feel very, very seriously and convictedly about abusive situations. A partner who wants to place a phone call and leave a physical situation or what have you, and a partner who like physically stops them from doing so. Like Brian, we see it on camera. He reaches over her. He's like, no, put the phone down, makes her drop it and makes them stay. To me, and Brittany, just tell me what you think about this. It is nuts to me to think about Brian being, as we could see, ready to move in with Raya because he, chose Raya. We could see Brian ready to move in with Raya and forcing Lisa to stay in the experiment when there was no one that she really was like, forget Antonio, she was not really about to move within with it. I'm like, that is so dark that you are pushing your partner who has asked you and told you, I want to get out of here, that you're like, no, babe, stay in the experiment so I can tap that. Like, that's craziness to me. That's coconuts.
Okay,
But
so I can see how like that is one perception. I did not take it all the way there. Um,
mm,
but I guess like what I will say is that like it was made very clear that Lisa was the one that wanted them to come on this show. And like
yes.
there was probably a level of convincing that she had to do before they got on camera. And
Oh,
so
absolutely.
so
PowerPoints.
I don't think that it's like wrong that the roles were reversed on camera, but what I do think is like very, very challenging to reconcile is all of those thoughts and things that you know to be true. So, for example, you're saying, like, if you can take my man, please take him. Like, I think that it's very easy to make that statement until you have essentially like served up your man on a platter, like to
Mm,
the next woman. And so, I just think that this was like, I think that this is one of those situations where you think that you know, and then you get into it and then you realize that there probably were a lot of different ways to get to the outcome that you wanted, and this was probably not the best one. And so like yeah, like I think in a perfect world, like it probably, when Brian is looking back at this, it probably been like, hey, she asked me to leave, it was the most responsible thing for me to like honor my partner and like get her out of here. But I also could see a scenario where like, hey, like she had done all this convincing to get him on the show,
right.
he's now like opened up the space in his life to participate and be available to it, and now here she is like day one honestly kind of folding. And also, I have to, you have to give it to, well, I don't, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of production, but we've seen things be very well produced on other Netflix series, and like
Yeah.
they like seemingly, like I would almost go as far as to say like the Brian Raya like setup tension, like that could not have been more perfectly like
Oh,
orchestrated in my opinion.
oh, listen, the casting on season two of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Chef's Kiss. I
yeah,
I did not think it could even get better than like Ultimatum Queer Love when it came to casting and like matching people up with the opposite.
yeah,
This was impeccable. Netflix did their absolute damage. Every single person was like a direct trial match for somebody
yeah,
else. And
seriously.
I believe that they saw that ahead because it was too good to be an accident. So I think I agree with you on a couple of the points here. Brian's still not hitting for me. Maybe I'm just like protective, but to me, once I saw her reach for that phone, like I want for anybody who wants an out to be able
Yeah,
to experience that out. And
in a
I think you're
respectful
right.
way.
She got there and she said, I don't want it. This was a
Yeah,
horrible idea. The child, I was gobsmacked. I was golly-gocked. I
yeah,
had no idea she was pregnant. And honestly, instead of making me like, wow, well, yay, they can go work on that, I felt horribly struck and stricken and sad. So, but like we'll follow up. I'm sure there's gonna be a much more at the reunion to
yeah.
see what that couple's doing like in real life. Moving on to Ryan and James.
Oh,
Ryan
another.
and James, another ooh. Ryan and James are high school sweethearts of 6 or 7 years. I really related to this because they started dating when they were 16. And then now at this point, they're like 23 ish. I had the same situation from like high school sweetheart to like post college. So I related a lot to both of them in this hope or idea that the relationship will sustain afterward. Uh, hmm. Okay, to get into this. So I think like Ryan, when you first see her, number one, Ryan looks incredibly different with makeup and without. Not to touch on this, but she looks beautiful both ways. But I just kept after I saw her face in the bed with James, and then she didn't show it to Trey like for the
Mm.
rest of these 8 episodes. I'm like, wait, babes, can we show him your bare face? Like, she's so glossy, beautiful, and cute, and she just does this like I don't know, full glam at all hours of the morning and night. I don't know why that stuck with me, but I just wanted to see her face so much. She's so pretty. Okay. Um, we have Ryan and James. James is a grad student, research assistant. Ryan is like a technologist. I think what's interesting about them is like they're young, but they're like, remember, they're Southern white young.
Yeah,
Southern white young is like, I'm 45.
no, for
So they're
real.
ready to get married, or at least Ryan is. And James goes, no. Like he keeps coming up with very strange excuses like, hey, well, the way my bank account's set up, I need to move the ring stone from this shop
Yeah,
to that shop and then I got to check this account, and then the way this is set up, I got to go check with the other bank, and he's giving her the runaround. Ryan is like, look, at the end of this sweetheart relationship, I'm your wife or I'm not, so that I can move on with my life. And I absolutely respect that from Ryan.
yeah.
James, I have a lot to say about James, and I want to keep it to things that are nice or objective.
Mhm.
Um, one Ooh, it's really hard. It's hard to be the bigger person. But looking at James, what was interesting later on, you can see when they get back from their trial marriages, James has kind of been controlling Ryan with his PTSD and his trauma,
Yeah,
and baby girl is tired. So James was
yeah,
abandoned when he was young, or his father wasn't around, or he was this great guy who he never got to know. And he has trauma of when his mother would get angry, she would get very physical. So abuse is like a common thread throughout these relationships. She'd get very physical when Ryan does so much as anything as to like get competitive, challenge him, move quickly in the kitchen. James is triggered. And I
yeah.
do respect people who have been traumatized for saying that they're triggered, but you can see she is crying. And at the end of their rope, they go through a multi-hour fight. What are your thoughts on the compatibility of Ryan and James?
So, like, first of all, they're like young 20s, right? Like, there's
Yeah.
still like self awareness and healing and just life experiences that they just have not had. And I totally like hear you on like the Southern white couple point, but I think this is actually like a good example of like when you do tie your life to somebody that young, especially when you haven't had the opportunity to like truly live and also heal.
Yep.
It can be this like massive recipe for disaster. And like, like Ryan is a super cute girl, and like,
She's so
clearly,
cute.
yeah, like she would be able to date other people. They both would. And like the reality is that like if they didn't end up together, they both would be fine because they just have so much more life left. But I do think that like tying their lives together at this point means signing up for like the emotional roller coaster of navigating like the bumpiness of finding yourself at this age. And like James
Yeah.
has a lot to heal from. Like he genuinely has a lot to heal from that needs probably a lot more work than he has like put in.
Yes, outside work, outside counsel. It's so scary to hear about for me James's like dark, strange past. It almost became a character in the cast. Like the fact that James, every
No,
5 minutes,
seriously.
James is like, but I haven't told her about my past. Like he's got this like Bruce Wayne level darkness that just keeps popping up. And you just want to like shake the screen of like, what is it? What is
Yeah,
your secret? You know,
seriously.
like I was almost to the point of like laughter and tears at the number of times that his trial partner, what's her name? Who she get? He got Raya, right?
Raya.
No.
Mhm.
Yeah, Raya. How Raya was like, kind of trying to understand more about him, and he would just keep going, but my past. Like I was like, white boy, if you don't just open your mouth right now. And he said that he didn't want to share it. I was like, okay, bet, respect. Don't give that to reality TV. Then we
Right,
see later on he actually does share to the whole world. So it
right.
wasn't about reality TV, but just his own moment of readiness that it was about trigger warning, self harm. So it was, I think, really beautiful in a way. And this is what I love about reality TV, that people just get super real and you see where some of the trauma comes from, where some of the like, abuse fears come from of like, hey, I used to harm myself in these ways. So like I'm afraid of, harm and like violent environments. So that was deep. I do give him credit for that. And I love that he apologized to Raya because he wasn't able
Yeah,
to give her even a hug or a handhold during
yeah,
their partnership.
yeah. I listen, I think that they're young and he has a lot to work on, and like kudos to him for coming on this show. That would not have been my choice for
Of
myself.
platform. Like, give it to the diary, give it to the password journal from the thousands. Like,
Yeah, or give it to the
that,
therapist that could help you and, coach you.
absolutely. Very bold of him to share that on the show. I think that's going to go a long way for people, though. I'm sure millions of people will actually watch him and go, oh my God, this is me, or I need to open up to my partner. So, like, I think that's cool. Watching them, it's just so interesting. Between James and Raya, say he had opened up to Raya, between James and James and Ryan,
Mhm.
who would you prefer as a couple?
Oh, Ryan and James. I think I guess we'll get into it more when we like talk about Raya, but like her that relationship dynamic to me, it just seemed like she just anybody that wasn't Trey, like she could have been open to.
Oh
And
no.
I yeah. It really was, like, I think she seemed to just be desiring any different experience, and, like, even the way in which her and James connected, like, I kind of was like, "Oh, like, are you attracted to him? Like, is he just, like, here? Like, what
There?
are they just
Yeah.
is he just kind of like your age mate, and that's why you guys
Is
ended
he
up."
your edge mitts?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, well, no, because you just saw how into Brian she was. Like, she literally said, I think at one point, she was like, "Oh
Right.
my god, Brian's so cute, like, oh my god, he's making me hot." And then, like,
Oh,
later
she
in
would
the
have instantly
yeah,
jumped on that. But
I
I
mean,
think that the production, it was interesting to me. I'm like, after Brian got pulled from the equation, I wonder if production talked to her and was
yeah,
just like, hey, why don't you go get to know? But they had a genuine moment by the pool, if you remember, because they were like, she expresses, yeah, I was raised by my mother, a reverend. And he
mhm,
goes, I was raised by my mother, a trucker. And so
mhm,
both of them have this moment of connection. And I think that that was odd and surprising. But I was like, oh, the Tumblr girl jumped out of her because she started looking at this white boy like he could have been her real husband. Like it was so interesting. I agree with you though. She was open to almost anyone. But it was the things that they said to each other at the dinner table. The
yeah,
way Raya was like, I could open up to you in a way I never have. James said the same thing. Open up to seemed to be everybody's like favorite phrase. It's like the here for the right reasons of the ultimatum is I can open up to you. You're so open. They're so open with you. Like they just kept saying it. But I felt like had the trauma not been in the way, James and Raya actually might have been a problem. I do feel
Oh,
that,
really?
especially. Oh, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's having had my own white boy experience. I
Mm,
feel for her and where she was at in that moment. If she had met a receptive, James is a listener. James doesn't
mhm,
always verbally acknowledge back what he hears, and that's what he causes his partner's frustration. But James hears everything, and I
mhm.
think that that is what she needed. Let's go down really quick to Raya and Trey. Another mm, um, Raya and Trey. So Trey is a 28-year-old at the time of the show, area manager, and so he's making his own money. He says that he's financially secure. That's what he's giving off. Raya, on the other hand, is a managing server at the popular chain Hooters. Between the two of them, Trey has said, I really want Hooters to jump in on this commentary, but we're going to get back. Between the two of them, Trey said that he's ready for marriage. So this is a black man, black couple. I mean, beautiful skin tones on both of them. I do love me a dark melanated couple, and they're from the South. And Trey is like, I'm trying to build a life with you. Raya is like, I don't know who I am. Can you give me a couple moments as like a 24-year-old to figure that out? Can you give me a year to go live in the city? Like Raya is screaming, basically, respectfully, screaming at Trey for this independence, and he's just not hearing her. So I want to talk about Trey's inability to completely like just fail to acknowledge what it is that Raya wants. To me, it seems like he likes the idea of Raya. He likes the idea of coming home
Agree,
to a
agree.
beautiful, young, fine. I mean, she's beautiful
Mhm,
woman and building his life or having the kids ticking the boxes, like you said.
mhm,
He's Ryan in a way. Like he's
mhm.
this kind of southern, I want to get my life started and here's a person I want to do it with. Raya, on the other hand, I didn't get that she was liking the second she saw Brian. Her legs went. She said so too on the commentary too. She was like, "Oh, I'm ready to." And he gets me a little
Mhm.
hot.
Yeah.
I'm
I
like, damn,
mean,
I could not imagine stepping into an environment with my partner of 2 years, and the very first thing I have to say is, "This person gets me a little hot." I'm like, "Oh, you don't like that boy for real?" Thoughts?
I mean, I actually would be like very curious to see what happens at the reunion after Trey does see that, because I agree with you like 10,000%, right? Like Trey is so ready and has a vision for his life, and he just like needs to find someone to fit into that picture. And I think it's actually a
Yes.
pretty significant loss that we didn't get to see like him and Lisa go through a trial marriage together, because I think that that
Mm,
would have been so insightful for both of them, to be honest. And then I just thought even Trey's experience with Ryan, he just was like, wow, I realized me and Raya like don't have anything in common. You know, like Raya was talking about how
Yo,
he
wait,
was
let's
talking about
stop
how he
there.
was,
Let's stop
yeah.
there. Can we please? Because this is, we're not going to skip past this. Trey admits that he and his girlfriend of 2 years, who he is ultimatuming into marriage, do
Yep.
not have anything in common. Isn't
Yeah.
that confounding for you as a
Listen,
variable?
the math was not mathing outside of like Raya's pretty. And when he's looking at her, he's like, oh my God, beautiful girl. She looks
Gorgeous
right in
gowns.
my story. Like
Gorgeous, gorgeous
she
gowns.
looks
Yeah.
right in his picture, but like Trey had a connection with Ryan. Trey had like chemistry with Lisa. Like I think it was a truly, I will say that was such a loss because Trey missed out on an
He did.
ability to have kind of like another beautiful black woman look at
Yes.
him and take interest in him and appreciate what he had to offer. Um,
Yes.
because like like she even says later on, she's like, "Yeah, we had sex problems." Like, they weren't even
Oh, that was like the pregnancy of a bombshell. That was like,
right.
wait,
So it's like,
whoa.
yeah, like I don't know what brought them together, but it
Right.
seems like they had far more reasons to not be together than to be together.
Okay, yeah, we need to dive deep on Trey. If you're listening right now, I just want to encourage you to follow Dating Unsettled. That's Dating Unsettled on podcast platforms. Add us, subscribe, follow us on social media, on Instagram regularly. You can follow me at JoyOfodu. I just want to make sure that you get the goodness of this podcast because we love breaking down real life. Reality TV is kind of new, but we're talking about dating and dating issues all the time. So again, follow, support, join, whatever, Dating Unsettled. We've been on an international tour this year, meeting listeners of the podcast. So if you like this, if you like me, if you think we're a little, even the slightest bit funny, please, please, please support Dating Unsettled, art project from my heart. Okay, getting back to the ultimatum, marry or move on. We're recapping this Netflix show here, and we're getting into couples, Raya and Trey. For me, this brings up a theme. Some people are very dumb. That is what I'm gonna call this theme. It reminds me of that audio. Do I support all Black people? I can't say that I do because Raya and Trey frustrate me to no end. Trey especially though, because I think Raya, honestly, she's been very vocal. Like
Mm-hmm.
sis has been very clear. Hey, don't know who I am. Hey, I might want to live in the city. Hey, I'm not sure about having kids. Which she
Mm-hmm.
flips on in 2 seconds after speaking to a white man. But she comes back and she goes, "No, actually, yeah, I do want to be a mother." Like there's just
Mm-hmm.
things about their relationship that are not settled. Trey admits so many crazy things on camera that I was literally like throwing my blanket at the screen. Like, what are you talking about? He goes, "Do you even want kids? We haven't had these conversations." What do you mean you proposed marriage to her,
Right.
want to move in, want to buy a house and a property, and you don't even know if she wants to be a mother? And here's the crazy gag. We find out that Raya baby, she at a time was pregnant. She was pregnant at maybe age 21 or so. We don't
Mm-hmm.
know if it was with Trey's. I'm assuming not because it doesn't match the math of their relationship, but we see that she was pregnant and it didn't work out. She had a miscarriage. And so it was just like, dang, like, why haven't you had these conversations before? And I don't know if that was a fault of them or a fault of the production not revealing enough in the right order about their backgrounds. But to me, some people are very, very dumb. Trey is trying to make a circle fit a square. No, he's trying to make a square fit a circle when it comes to their relationship. And I agree with you. I think when he and Lisa sat down, I was very surprised to see, oh, wait a minute, this could actually be that ready Black relationship he's looking for.
Yeah.
And Lisa already having a child might have had something to teach Trey about, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying you want this commitment. You're saying you want to settle down. This is what it actually looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing Trey with Ryan, I'm here for it. I like, interestingly enough, I could see it. They both
I
matched. He
could
said that
too.
yeah, like they connected deeply. So I'm wishing the best. It did seem, I don't know, did you get the vibe that he, like a fourth grade boy, tried so hard to be like, I like you, and she was just being kind of like pageant queen about it. Like she never confirmed all the way that she was interested in dating him. She made him a very sweet scrapbook, but to me it felt like Ryan was playing it safe and not wanting to give Trey that commitment that she wanted to pursue a marriage with him no matter
Yeah,
how many
for
times he
sure.
asked. Did you get that?
No, for sure. But I mean, I think this is the thing, right? Like Trey's just so ready. Like
Yes.
I think any person that gave him an inkling of readiness, he could have like attached himself to,
I think
truly.
a plank of wood would have been a viable option if it had been inscribed on the wood, ready for house and kids.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
like truly, I actually I liked him and Ryan together. I liked them together a lot. Better than like either of their
Oh, yeah.
original relationships. So yeah, I mean, but I did notice the point Trey was like, "Hey, like, could we see each other after this? Like, you don't live too far from me." And I was like, "Listen, y'all are playing dangerous games because these cameras are gonna go away."
Oh, they
And
are.
like, listen,
That was nuts. Yeah, he's like, we live. And that's the thing. He kept pitching, kept pitching. He was
yeah,
always selling. We live right by each other for real. You just like me for real. I got real feelings for you. I'm not gonna lie. Like Trey just continued to like try to lay it on Ryan. And
hmm
I don't think she was entirely trying to pick up what he was putting down. Moving to our last couple to tie us all together, we
oh my
have
god,
Roxanne and Antonio. Roxanne, 30, is a founder and CEO. With every other breath, she will remind you that she owns a business. I almost 86% believe she came onto the show to promote her IT business. Um,
Mm,
and then we have Antonio, 29. So to be honest, their age difference is not crazy. She makes it seem like she is 9 years older than him, but Antonio, 29, who is a on the website it says here freight broker. I would have thought frat brother. I would have thought I would have thought video game connoisseur, couch potato, lovable guy, sandwich maker. Like he doesn't get any type of credit as being somebody who has like ambition whatsoever. Like I think the show was really working an angle here because later you do hear you just sold a business, like, his parent, Roxanne's parent or something. And I was like, wait. Antonio sold a business? This is brand new news. So Antonio is kind of pitched for those of you who are listening or watching on YouTube throughout the show as the type of person who just doesn't have it together the way that Roxanne does. He's pitched at somebody that she's literally out worrying about what is he doing at home, and
mm,
you think he is like unemployed. He shares that for years he struggled with addiction, trigger warning addiction, that he was high, he was down on his luck, he was just evasive from life. He didn't want to feel anything, feel any pain. He just always wanted to feel up. And I do respect how that factors into her view of him. However, I do think he was done dirty with this edit because it seems like he's just a dude, TM, who is taking life at his own pace, still wants to
mhm,
get married. He says in bed with her, he's like, I want to be a provider. I want to do the right thing by you. It just seems like Roxanne, maybe because of trauma, fear, insecurity, whatever, just cannot believe that they're on it. And it's so scary. There's a scene where Roxanne and Antonio are arguing in the kitchen and she's comparing her career to his. She says to him, you know, sports, you know how with sports there's different leagues, right?
mm,
He goes, ouch. The way I gasped, like she truly believes that she is doing so much better, going so much further than this dude, and that he's lagging behind. And I'm not saying, I don't know what he's like at home. I feel like he might just lay it down and then let her do what she needs to do for the rest of the day. And that's probably why she thinks that. But then we also have Roxanne. My view on Roxanne was like, initially cautious. Like I think I see her and I'm like, is this a mean girl? Like Roxanne,
yeah,
I think in every Netflix cast I go, oh, there's the host. Like the
mhm.
host. Roxanne's the host. She can't wait to speak. She There was someone like this in the Queer Love. Did you watch Ultimatum Queer Love?
No.
Oh my god, there was a blonde girl who she was really after Mal for a second. Oh my god, this is gonna drive me absolutely nuts. But in Ultimatum Queer Love, there was another female character like this who just could not keep her mouth shut. And so that to me is like the host character. That's Roxanne. Roxanne, though, I think initially, while my guard was up about her because of that nature of just like, oh my God, she just wants to speak for everybody and speak for the whole experience, she does settle into herself a bit more, get very vulnerable, become very direct. So I have to respect her. Brittany, what do you think about Roxanne?
Listen, I don't think that
You
she respects. I don't think she respects Antonio at all. I think Alex called it. I think that she would have loved to be in a relationship with Alex until he called her on her stuff and she had
Ooh.
to face it. And I think, to be honest, Antonio would probably love and be a phenomenal stay at home dad. But he's in
Mm-hmm.
this dynamic where, like, Roxanne is forcing him to be things that he's just not. And
Right.
Roxanne is not, for, as much of a strong boss babe whatever as she is not strong enough to let this man go.
No,
And I do not
no.
know why. And it's kind of crazy because like I was kind of like I respect all the like, girl bosses out there, right? Like that's amazing. But at some point you have to decide like what you want your relationship dynamic to be because there can't
Yeah.
be two men in the relate. I mean, well no. There
Ooh,
can't if there are going to
no,
let
but
me
we heard
in a PC way.
in a PC in the most progressive way
Yeah, in the
possible.
most progressive way possible. I think that there have to be comparable energies in order for it to be like a productive, fruitful partnership. And just what you see in her dynamic is not that. And I think that
Yes.
I think you see it. like you see it reach ahead when she's matched with Alex, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, we're working all day. Like we haven't even had time to talk, and he works more than me." And she's able to brag
Yeah.
about him. She's able to connect with him on a area of her life that she's proud of, right? And she just cannot do that with Antonio at all. And then instead of like having an honest conversation with Antonio, she gaslights him. Like I think Roxanne is like the villain, to be honest. Like to me, she
She
has like
does gaslight him a little bit. There's something you just mentioned though about Roxanne when she got paired with Alex, which I feel like is be careful what you wish for.
right,
Is she said she first of all, Roxanne was the one who was given the ultimatum. She's like, I don't want marriage right now.
right,
I don't think that it can advance me in any way. In that respect, I was like, yes, smart, right? Because she's like, I'm not ready. I'm not looking for that type of partnership. I just like having, a man around, and I don't know how this is going to help or hurt my business. Cool, because we all know about like the motherhood. I don't know what they call it, but like the motherhood tax, where like if a woman in corporate America is perceived as having a husband and kids, then she, will be seen to be split in her attention, whether that's true or not. And people will think that she's busy with that and not dedicated to the corporate world. Look, totally respect everything Roxanne is saying about how society is set up. She then asks for somebody who is more on his, bully, like somebody who's got ambition. She gets Alex. Then she starts complaining about, well, when you were working, you didn't get up to help me with the groceries. I'm
right,
not saying right or wrong in that little situation, but that was just or he never opens the door or he never, does these extras. She complains
right,
about that and really I'm like, "Well, that's what you asked for, babe.
right.
You
Like
wanted this."
if you want the yin and the yang, right? Like if
Yes.
Antonio really is like the yin to her yang, then like she can't be so hard on him for not being the things that she like actually doesn't need him to
She
be. Or
actually
just like
doesn't need.
yeah.
But she thinks she needs that. I think that's the crazy part is she thought she needed someone who was just as busy, if not busier than her.
Yeah.
And she got it. And that's what honestly, this is gonna get really hot take. This is sold in the black community as like the ultimate sort of black excellence package, purchase it TM. Go get you a man who's, the multi 6, 7 figure earner who's da 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 da. And then also have your own money. And also I'm like, okay, this is sold as a package. When you actually go taste it and try it, you might figure out it's not for you. Like
Right.
having a man that you can't speak to, having a man who's not doing extras. He's keeping lights on and he's sending you spending money, but you might find emotionally that that's
Right.
not meeting your needs. To me, I was like, Roxanne, that's what you asked for, Bebs,
Yeah.
So it was kind of sad to see for me because I'm like, I'm starting to root for Roxanne in this moment of just like figuring things out. It was sad for me to see it not work out with Alex because I agree. She needs to let go of Antonio, doesn't know how to. And I
Yeah.
don't think she needs to let go of Antonio because of what he is or isn't doing. I think she needs to let go of Antonio because of the anxiety she cannot release about
Yep.
who he will be and how far he will go. She
Yep.
will always want to change this man. And
Yep.
so this is a funny part though. If we get on Antonio for just 2 seconds as we wrap up the couple analysis here, Antonio has an actual like refusal to believe
Yep.
anything negative said about himself or about his partner. I
Yo,
want
that
I
is
want I want that drug. I want that smoothie. I want that Kool-Aid. I want that belief. I want that faith. I want to know what
Mhm.
church he's walking into because when Kat and Alex both said to him, "Your partner doesn't respect you," even your partner's mother or whatever it was Alex's parents. Alex's parents who don't even know you are texting me saying, "Oh, she clearly doesn't respect the man she's with."
Oh my
And
god.
Antonio looks her in the eye and goes, "You're lying. No, no, everybody's
Oh,
lying. Everybody's lying to me."
that was insane. That was literal chaos. That was insane. Insanity. And then Roxanne's like, "Oh my god, come talk to me in person right now."
Yes. Yeah, yeah, because she needs to control the narrative. And that's where you
Yeah.
said she's gaslighting him. It's so funny because Kat asks twice. She asks privately to Antonio and then publicly at the dinner table, "What reason would I have or would they have to make this up? why would we lie to you about that? What incentive do we have? And he's like, it's because everyone wants Roxanne. Guys are telling me this all the time because they're always trying to get her.
That is also insane.
Babes, if guys are telling you this all the time, your own species, your own gender, your own mankind is like, bro, this woman does not respect you. Like, at what point do you stop and go, maybe they're not just trying to get at her, but maybe they're right?
I mean, listen, like he also has to acknowledge like why he's so accepting of
Yeah.
being in that dynamic. I mean, truly, like neither of them are happy. Or I
No,
don't I mean, not that I mean, it didn't appear that
it
either of
didn't
them
appear
were.
like happiness.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I like Roxanne against, whatever judgment or
I
for
would be
some,
her friend. I If she was my homegirl and she was like telling me about her relationship, I would at some point have to be like, "Hey girl, like we can't talk about this anymore." Like
yeah, I'd be like, let's go talk about work. Let's go to the girl boss dinner because
yeah.
I like Roxanne and I like Antonio. I just want, same way I want for Kat, I want more for both of them in their relationships. Like I want, I don't know what it is, how to say it. I think I just want more conviction for both of them and more clarity for both of them. I'm going to say my last theme to close this up is that these people have great friends and family at home. Like,
Mhm.
excellent. Did you see when uh Kat and Alex go back with Kat's friends and they have like a little dinner? So at first
Mhm.
Kat is just sitting with her girls. This is towards the end of episodes 1 through 8. And she just goes like, you know, the friends are like, we don't like him. Like the friends are like, does he love you? Is he ready to commit to you? It's been so many years. Has he told you that he's the one? And then those same friends keep the same energy. At first they're fake. They're like, hi, Alex. But then they literally sit in front of his face. They're like, what more do you need from
Right.
her? And like,
Right.
usually I don't like friends meddling, but I'm like, yeah, she's got great friends. What do you need for her to show you? Is she the one? Yes or no? And this man cannot answer the question. But I'm like,
Mhm.
Kat, marry your friends because they're they're incredible. Brittany, I so appreciate you breaking down Netflix's The Ultimatum, Marry or Move On with me. I love these episodes. We're at time, but please, everybody, follow at Dating Unsettled. We're going to have more thoughts. We're going to reshare stuff about the show. If you liked what we had to say, let us know. If you agree with us, disagree, comment, share the podcast, share this episode. I hope that we can rejoin at this ultimatum table with the silver flasks and we can get very real when we figure out the results of these ultimatums. I hope we can come back.
Of course.
Of course. Okay, that's a promise. Everybody be sure to follow the Dating Unsettled show wherever podcasts are found. See ya soon. See ya later. And let me play the jingle because the jingle's cute. We love the jingle.
Dating
Come on.
unsettled.
Nope, nope. One more time. One more time. Come on. Come on. Come on, jingle. You got
Dating unsettled.
it. That's it.